Kaeya, Knight of Favonius. Please allow me to join you on your journey. Guarding you on your journey sounds far more entertaining than any of the usual Favonius stuff. I didn't know you were such a slacker. Seems all the other knights already have their hands full. Come on, let's get moving. We're not frozen in place after all. Cryo is always far more effective in the rain. This is going to get interesting. How about a ghost story to go with the snow? What's wrong? Can't handle the cold? What a pleasant breeze. I wonder how long it'll last. Seize the day. Hey, fancy joining me at the tavern for a bit? You're not scared of the dark, are you? That's interesting. Leaving already? See you next time, then. Don't make me wait too long, though. Is the Abyss Order causing you trouble? If there's anything bothering you, you know you can talk to me. If you ever need me, let me know. Let's not make this a transaction relationship. Oh? Well, if you're concerned about keeping things professional, maybe you can find more use for me on the front lines. How about it, boss? Just don't feel intimidated by what I can do. Still struggling with how visions work? Let's see, how can I explain it? The apparatus that allows us to see is our eyes. A vision is the apparatus by which we control the elements. Simple, is it not? Do you drink wine? A dandelion wine has a unique body to it. Oh, you're underage. You should try Mondstadt's apple cider vinegar. I know just the place. Have you ever seen the owl of Dragonspine? If you look directly at it, it seems to see right through you, while letting go of none of its own secrets. Quite fascinating, don't you think? What? The acting Grand Master? You need to give her your full support. Oh, Lisa, You'd better not forget to return your books on time. I made that mistake once, and boy was she angry. My arm is still numb from last time. That outrider is a clever and righteous knight. Be careful not to step out of line in front of her. D-Luke? He was cute as a young lad, but nowadays he just seems to be in a world of his own. Overall, not much fun to hang out with. Klee. Seems she has failed to elude the acting Grand Master's investigative skills, despite the pointers I gave her. I'm kidding. No need to go reporting me or anything. Albedo, eh? Calm, collected, and incredibly talented. He's the type everybody likes. Some even more so than others. What, you into him as well? Have you tried one of Diona's drinks? Oh, right. You're still underage. Such a shame, it truly is, to not be able to revel with you in such bliss. I guess all we can do is wait for you to be old enough. Now that you mention him, it is a shame there is no one in the Knights of Favonius to inherit the Grand Master's approach to his work. I must say, I really do appreciate people like him. You think Fischl having one eye covered is very fitting given her title of Prinzessin der Verurteilung? If that's the case, that must also make me a descendant of some kind of former royal lineage, no? I was entrusted by the acting Grand Master to work in the background to support Noelle, but there hasn't been much for me to concern myself with. She has a good head on her shoulders. Quite the relief. You want to know about the secrets of Sister Rosaria. That I cannot tell you. Though my impression of her is not bad, certainly better than a certain someone whose name I won't bother to mention. She's honest with herself. She casts off that which she has no time for, and she doesn't feign motivation for affairs that do not interest her. Sucrose may not be much of an extrovert in public, but as they say, it's always the quiet ones. Apparently, her laboratory is home to quite the eclectic range of implements, and her experiments are more than just intellectually stimulating. All hearsay, of course. You don't seriously think I would go snooping around a fair lady's private quarters, do you? Oh, Kale. Oh, now there's a name I haven't heard in a while. You came to the right person. Let me tell you her whole story. starting right from the very beginning with all the delicious details. When I first met Mika, he seemed like the nervous type, so I decided to joke around with him a little. I didn't count on that making him even more nervous. His smile looked as if it were plastered onto his face, and in the end, he even wrote me a letter of apology. Does taking everything so seriously run in the Schmidt's blood? The title of cavalry captain is nothing to get excited about. Now that I think about it, the Grand Master took all the cavalry from Mondstadt, so there's none left for me to captain. There are a total of 10 captains within the Knights of Favonius. But truth be told, not all of them have what it takes to be leaders. My eye? My eye is fine. There's nothing unusual about hiding one's body parts from view. It's the same reason I wear pants. Or any other item of clothing, for that matter. Kaeya, huh? You sure know a lot. The legacy of Kaeya is long gone. The sinners are all that's left, and they're not worth mentioning. I didn't realize we'd known each other for so long now. Time flies. You know, following you on your journey might just be the most fun I've had in my whole life. I hope it stays that way. Wine tasting is an art form. Mondstadt's wine is a gift from the Animo Archon. It's only right that one should learn how to appreciate it. Lonely? Me? Not with someone here nagging me all the time, that's for sure. Sparkling wine is a specialty of Mondstadt. Mix it with 3 parts dandelion wine, and the bitterness disappears completely. This concoction is known as Death Afternoon. Delectable. I can't believe that some people actually drink grape juice. If they had a little more patience, they would find it ferments into the most exquisite wine. So unromantic. Not bad. You always seem to be around to give me a hand. Thanks. Seems I'm getting stronger. I say, how is it you seem happier than me about it? We were just traveling partners. I never thought I'd have you to thank for getting me to this point. Seems I really should respond in kind. Let us carry on, partner. The road ahead is still long. Well, hello. I didn't expect to see you again so soon. Oh, I feel quite at home already. Although I feel that at home doesn't express my feelings in their entirety. Surprised is more how I'd describe the feeling I had when I first set eyes on this place. What? Of course not. It was a very pleasant surprise. It's more beautiful than I imagined. It's been a while since I moved here, though, so the initial sense of surprise has mostly worn off. Now, this place feels comfortable, like somewhere I belong. Who'd have thought? You've come to the right person. Speak your mind. I'm more than happy to keep you company. Though it's too bad we don't have anything to wet our whistles with. Well, largely because I like the taste. But I can't deny that I also like how it makes me feel. Oh, really? Just from listening to me describe it, despite having never tried it yourself? That's quite a unique talent. Goodness, look at you, leaping to conclusions. Do I look like I've been through that much? I'm quite content with my life right now. I have to say, though, that chatting with you is quite intoxicating. Actually, in much the same way that drinking is. So, I suppose, I'm just greedy and want to enjoy both of these pleasures at the same time. What an interesting metaphor. I hadn't looked at it from that angle. Let me think. Your analogy seems largely correct. Save for one small detail. You, of course, are the main ingredient in said cocktail. You're already here by my side. What more could I ask for? Though, I would like to know one thing. Is there any way in which I can be of assistance to you? How flattering. As always, I speak only from the heart. Nothing would make me feel prouder than knowing that my words of advice are of some help to you. That would imply that you trust me and proves that I am capable of helping you solve your problems. I'm at your service. In fact, would you like me to compile a guide for you? It would contain all kinds of practical knowledge for at home and on the road, including the techniques I have developed for communicating with people from all walks of life. I'd like to share it all with you. My pleasure. I'd better get to work then. Don't forget that I'm always here for you if you ever need to pour your heart out. Is it that time already? I'm not sure I'm ready to say goodbye. But then again, one has to get one's beauty sleep. All right then, good night. Staying here feels like being in Mondstadt. The only difference is that I won't be bothered by any of my duties as one of the Knights of Favonius. Imagine bringing a bottle of finely aged wine here and having a taste. Now, wouldn't that be bliss? When that time comes, let's chat as we do right now, friend. Promise me that once the grapes ripen, you won't press them into juice. Grapes are best turned into delectable wine. I just remembered my days back at the winery. Why don't I let you in on the secrets of winemaking? Launching a direct offensive doesn't sound like the wisest strategy when we're up against powerful beings. That said, I'd sure like to spectate and see how things play out. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. I'm supposed to be one of the ones doing the fighting. All right, don't worry. I'll start taking this seriously. If I know you, you won't stop until you've plumbed the depths of this domain and uncovered every secret it hides. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing but admiration for the people who see things through to the end, whatever path they're on. But you never know what price you'll have to pay to reach your destination. The unfortunate reality is, it's up to the whims of fate. Do you want to know the trick to drinking hard liquor? It's all about pacing yourself. Take a small sip, then give your taste buds some time to rest. The burning sensation spreads to your lips, then the aftertaste kicks in. Once you can take a breath in without tasting anything, then you can take your next sip. Stick to that pace, and even death after noon loses its power over you. I like to think that the same principle applies in combat. You've actually got the power to go up against the dragon. Are you a new ally? Or a new storm? Hold on, Amber. Are you perhaps forgetting to introduce us? From afar. Is that all we know of them? I see. Welcome to Mondstadt, though you haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. I understand the anguish of being separated from family. I'm not really sure why you're looking for the Animo God. Oh, but everyone has their secrets, right? Relax. I won't press you for more. First and foremost, on behalf of the Knights of Favonius, I would like to extend our thanks to you for your help just now. How about a traditional Mondstadt delicacy? Sticky honey roast. Your fight to defend the city against the dragon just now was witnessed by no small number of citizens. The acting Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius is also very interested in meeting you, and formally invites you both to our headquarters. Jean, I've brought them. And once it was over, I brought them straight here. Good. In that case, we need a plan. You're not bad with that wind glider. Your gliding style seems familiar. My eye patch. Want to hear my story, eh? I didn't have time to introduce myself properly. Well, it wasn't on my mind to begin with. My apologies. I'm Kaeya, cavalry captain for the Knights of Favonius. We can talk more after we get things sorted. I know a great place more fit for a chat. The Grand Master is currently off leading an expedition, so the Master, Jean, has stepped in to oversee the Knights while he's gone. Hence, You'll hear many refer to her as the acting Grandmaster. When the Grandmaster left, he took the vast majority of our knights with him, leaving the acting Grandmaster with far more responsibility and stress. Come to think of it, it must have been difficult for Jean.
You've arrived. Come closer. Can you smell that? Something must have happened in the temple. I imagine there will be slimes, hilly churls, and whatever's giving Storm Terror extra power. Oh yes, it is going to be lively in there indeed. As bustling as it may be, no, I can't imagine it will be dangerous at all. Oh, you're quite the brave one, aren't you? It's a pity that the Temple of the Wolf has been disturbed by such an atrocity. Let's head in. No one makes offerings to the Four Winds anymore, yet the old winds never vanish. We need to clear out the temples for the Four Winds.
My first chance to fight beside you. Think we'll make a good team?
Let me show you how the Knights of Favonius conquer our adversaries. If I'm not mistaken, the end of the temple should be up there. Experience. The kind of experience you get after years of dealing with things like this for others. Traveler, unless I'm mistaken, you don't seem to have a vision. So how exactly is it that you're able to channel elemental energy? Seems the path ends here. Let's use the wind currents to fly up. Good idea. That's some keen observation. We should get Jean to give you a title and make you a knight. Speaking of, did you know? Storm Terror was once one of the Four Winds. I'm not aware of the exact details. If you're interested, you can ask the acting Grand Master about it. Seems probable. Let's deal with it. Bravo! What a performance! You are, to my surprise, a well-trained knight. The battles you just fought were sights to behold. I see you already have the knightly virtue of modesty. Stories of your heroic deeds to save Mondstadt from destruction shall be known throughout the City of Freedom, well into the future. Please do visit me at our headquarters when you have the time. I also know a lovely tavern, if that's more your thing. Quite rewarding, no? I can take care of the rest here. You go take care of other things while I'm at it. There's no way hilly churls organized an ambush like this themselves, not with their limited mental capacity. Thus you were behind this. Agree to disagree, but your involvement in this just made things a whole lot more interesting.
Why so cold? I've always thought that we enjoy quite the intimate friendship. It seems your great battle sharpened not only your combat skills, but your wit as well. A knight after my own heart. Ah, so you do feel something for me, and people say my charm is fake. To bask in the presence of Mondstadt's new big hero is quite the morale boost. And that's coming from a knight. Nonsense. I speak from the heart. Just looking for a quiet spot to collect my thoughts. Thinking can be an arduous task, you know. Believe me, I'd much rather be taking out the trash. The Abyss Order. A dragon wreaks havoc in Mondstadt, and the acting Grand Master leaves the city to combat the threat. Strategically, that's the perfect moment for the Abyss Order to make their move. If you were the Abyss Order, would you squander this golden opportunity by sending in nothing more than a few hilly churls? To get to the bottom of it, I decided to wait. So I waited, and watched for their next move. Then came the day you made all hell break loose in Storm Terror's lair, just as the hilly churls' cries sounded from the city gates. That same day, I saw shadowy figures lurking in the city itself. Well, all the other knights were outside, fighting the enemy. As you can imagine, that left the inside of the city completely unguarded. Except for me, of course. And so I approached the Abyss Order infiltrators for a bit of, let's call it fraternizing. Through various means, I managed to gather some rather interesting intel. The situation is this. The Abyss Order, they are united under a single leader. Yes. And it was this very leader who devised the plot to turn Dvalin into a weapon of war. Let's just say I'm blessed with certain linguistic powers. There's more. The Abyss Order has a name for this leader. They call him the Prince. Now, I'm sorry to cut this intelligence briefing short, but I do believe I spy Amber heading this way. I think she's still angry with me for my absence from the defense effort during the attack. I'd better slip away before she notices me. This is bad. Such a hassle. What am I going to do? Oh, thank the thousand winds. Your arrival must be the grace of the gods. If I may ask, envoy sent by the Animo god to save this mere mortal, could you spare a moment? Marvelous. I cannot let my peers hear about this. I cannot seek help from anyone else but you. Please, let us move to somewhere more fit for such conversations. Let's talk in the courtyard just outside headquarters. Come with me. This place will do. How should I begin? Oh, right. Let me tell you a secret first. It's a secret of my past, and I confide in you to keep it. As a matter of fact, my grandfather was a pirate. Wait, why do you sound so blithe? Do you think I'm making it up? Look at my eye patch. I inherited it from my grandfather, and this is solid proof that we are related by blood. My, how could you not know such common knowledge? This is no different from children inheriting their hairstyles from their parents. Yesterday, I was glancing through the notes my grandfather left and stumbled upon records that spoke of a treasure. According to his notes, the treasure is buried in the lost Arcadian ruins. But the location of the ruins is currently unknown. I've tried searching for clues. Treasures that consist of nothing but gold and gems are third-rate treasures. My grandfather's treasure is a sword. A magic sword that grants the wielder unrivaled power. The sword was dropped from Celestia into the sea by a god. It was later salvaged by my grandfather's crew by pure coincidence. The moment he gripped the sword, thunder roared, billows howled, and the clear skies were suddenly swallowed by raging winds. With the might of the magic sword, my grandfather went on to defeat a hydra, a silver-haired banshee, a wicked abyss dragon. But the immense power of the sword enticed many more greedy pirates. To avoid meaningless conflicts, my grandfather hid the magic sword. The world we live in is fascinating, full of unknown and inexplicable wonders. These incredibly thrilling adventures are romances that could only be told by pirates. A gang of treasure hoarders has been very active lately, and many ruins have had their relics stolen by them. I'm afraid that they will soon discover the Arcadian ruins, and the magic sword will be lost. Wow. Great. Please keep it a secret. I'll wait for your good news. Oh, you're back. Do you have news for me? That much is expected. Oh, I only mean that what's the fun in finding it without the hard work? However, I do have some clues. I sent someone to collate black market intel. It seems that someone does know about the Arcadian ruins. Now, as per the black market's rules, they will send someone to meet us to prevent leaks. We will be meeting the informant at the Whispering Woods. That's right. You read my mind. I am a knight, so I shouldn't have any dealings with the black market. You have my thanks. Of course, you'll be compensated for your troubles. By the knights. You're back. Looks like you got the intel. Riddles. How quaint. Let me think. The city in the lake is clearly Mondstadt. As for the six-armed giants... Aside from asking just where we would find giant crabs, crabs have 8 legs, not 6. Hey, that's smart. A windmill has 6 blades. It fits. So out of the 3 windmills, 2 are close to the statue. The other one is guarding... Let's hope it's really that simple. She doesn't love him at all. The passion rushing through the clear spring is just a front. When she's cold and alone, her true heart is revealed. Is this some page stripped from a love novel that you just happened to find? I'm just joking. This riddle is hard to figure out. Clear spring. Is it referring to Springvale? Passion rushing through the clear spring. So when does passion rush through a clear spring? Such inappropriate behavior. I feel like it has been creeping into Mondstadt for quite a while now. Unless that's something you two get up to. Oh, my apologies. I shouldn't judge what one does in their own time. The thing is, if the rushing passion isn't coming from the clear spring, then it's coming from the people bathing. Not a bad idea. Like when there's a waterfall, for example. It appears the solution to this enigma relates to the waterfall behind Springvale. Only the clear spring that blesses Mondstadt can reveal the passion described here. And the heart of the waterfall must refer to the cliff on the left side of the waterfall. I noticed it once when I was out on patrol in the area. The ending, cold and alone, probably has something to do with cryo, which can be controlled by a vision. You should probably take someone who can manipulate cryo with you. It's nothing. If a knight of Favonius couldn't even answer a riddle, how could we be trusted to solve criminal mysteries? I'm sorry to rain on your parade, but your gang won't be participating in your current plan. If you'd like to ask why, you can go see them in Mondstadt prison. Or perhaps you'd prefer to join them permanently. Oh, you mean the treasure? Sorry, but there wasn't any treasure to begin with. You came all the way for nothing. Just give it up. A thief has no right to criticize the methods of the Knights of Favonius. Wait, what are you? What a troublemaker. What an interesting suggestion. All right then. Guess I will have to do some overtime work after all. Don't forget what you promised, or that thing will be the least of your worries. I'm just joking. All right, let's take him back. Of course not. They are the ones who made this arrest possible. Without them spreading our fabricated intel, we wouldn't have been able to catch the treasure hoarders. All right, stop it already. Though the treasure doesn't exist, you did want it for yourself, didn't you? Otherwise you would have informed me of your intentions, no? Just a sec. You did help me out, so you do deserve a reward. This is the triumphant harbinger of dawn that points towards victory. As its name suggests, it symbolizes light and victory. If you don't mind, I would like to present you with this harbinger of dawn as a reward. That's right. It suits a well-cultured and disciplined person such as yourself. Wouldn't you say, Paimon? You'd forgive me, right? I'm honored to have such an understanding friend. You have my apologies for the deception. I will not use the same method twice. What a wonderful day. Now, I have to go interrogate my suspect. Please excuse me. Do come visit me at our headquarters when you have the chance. There's no need to despair, Huffman. Just follow my plan and everything will be fine.
Lately, Master Diluc has been working the bar at the Angel's Share every night. All I need you to do is keep him in your sight. Think you can manage that for me? Who knows? It's just a hunch. I've been known to be wrong on occasion. Not all of them. Or should I say, not all of us. I just picked a good spot to quietly sit and watch the show. Correct. The Dark Knight Hero's Alibi. I think it's my favorite chapter so far. More intriguing than a fine wine. Come now, Diluc. You know me better than that. I have no interest in exposing secrets. I was just curious to see how far Mondstadt's Dark Knight hero would really go. And you did not disappoint. Oh, naturally. I must say, though, one thing I didn't see coming is that the mighty Dark Knight hero would actually need help from other people. All right. I have no further need of wine to entertain myself tonight in any case. Just one last thing before I go. I feel strangely comforted by the fact you now have an assistant, Diluc. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I've been waiting for you. I have been informed about Jean falling ill. On behalf of all of the Knights of Favonius, allow me to express my sincere gratitude for your assistance. Well, the circumstances warrant it. This is the acting Grand Master herself we're talking about. Now, in addition to that thank you message, there was one other thing. It's like you read my mind. We have quite a connection, don't you think? I must say I like your style. But before we can discuss a reward, there are some things I hope you can assist the Knights with. Right. Although the commissions you reported to Jean have already been handed off to someone else, I am concerned that they will not be handled with due care without Jean's personal touch. So I am hoping that you can help out where you see fit. I will feel much more at ease knowing that the honorary knight is personally overseeing these cases. Oh, I have far more important matters to attend to. There are so many things to prepare. Those are the ones. I appreciate the help. See you later. We thought that since you so rarely take any time off, we'd take this chance to throw you a party. Enjoy yourself, Jean. After all, you'll never let us do this once you're back at work. Fear not. We wanted to make sure you could relax and enjoy yourself. So while you were away, we all pitched in and finished off your work for you. Every last task. Actually, our friend here was the key organizer behind all of this. See all of this food and drink? He made sure it all arrived on time. Not only that, but he cooked each one of these beautiful dishes himself. So relax already. There's no need to be so modest. Of course, we also have Master Diluc to thank for the venue. Otherwise, we would be looking at quite an alarming bill right about now. Hey, having a good time? The thing is, Jean knows all of us so well now. When someone organizes a surprise party for you, the closer you are to them, the more bashful you tend to feel about the whole thing. So instead, we just gave you all the credit. After all, you did do more than your fair share of the work anyway. Well, long time no see. Well, how was it? Fun? Well then, you ought to be looking forward to Mondstadt's Ludi Harpastum. I'm sure it will be to your liking. Lantern supplies, stockpile of wood, paper, and oil. At the very least, it sounds like an accident waiting to happen. How very amusing. What makes you think I would recognize this symbol? I'm flattered. But don't you think you might be overestimating me? My goodness, your stay in Liyue seems to have sharpened your wit and broadened your vocabulary. You should watch what you say, honorary knight. What do you mean, flirt with the dark side? The Knights of Favonius certainly does not have dealings with its enemies. That has to do with a certain knightly virtue called integrity. Anyway, I digress. This is the symbol of the cross-border criminal organization you know as the Treasure Hoarders. If you are curious to know more, I can put you in touch with an informant on the inside. This is my own personal informant. Nothing to do with the Knights of Favonius. A little later, make your way over to Windrise. I'll arrange for the informant to meet you there. Oh, and remember, wine begets wisdom. It's the greatest bard in town, and now the greatest romantic advisor in town, no doubt. Still, don't you have other business to attend to? Exactly that. I heard you were teaching classes in the plaza, so I came right away. I'm not too shabby. Nevertheless, I'd like to register for the fast-track classes. The real question is, are you willing to take me on as a student? Well then, I guess I'm enrolled. And as your student, may I make some reasonable demands? As students, aside from attending class, we also need homework exercises. Surely a well-designed course would require us to put our knowledge into practice and then have our teacher correct the poems we compose. Precisely. All in exchange for payment, naturally. These are my demands. Is that so bad? I just think that with things like this, you should see them all the way through. More fun for everyone involved, don't you think? What do you say? As I expected, a reasonable and down-to-earth teacher. Steady now. Let's not overestimate my abilities. Still, one bottle of the good stuff in exchange for your guidance. Not an opportunity to pass up. Deal. Even adventurers want to learn how to write poetry. I see this is going to be a popular class. A quick question, sir. Does our special arrangement still stand? I was just thinking about you two, and now here you are. How fortuitous. I'm afraid I must disappoint you. I haven't even started writing it yet. Well, as you can see, I'm helping Master Jean take care of various matters. Mondstadt is a hive of activity over the festive period. Accordingly, there's a multitude of things that need sorting. I've been at it for a good while now. Traveler, can I ask for a favor? I have a drinking buddy that wants me to help him with something, but I'm much too busy. Can I entrust this matter to you? That's right. I often go to the tavern when not on duty. Somehow, I seem to have made quite a few acquaintances that way. His name is Nimrod. He's never far from the tavern. He should be free right now. Thanks for the help. I'd better stay behind and get started on my homework. Feel free to take your time. I need to channel my inner poet. Welcome back. I'm just finishing up. All right. Now then, no hurting my feelings. Feel free. Coherent and to the point. Plus, the length seems about right. A love poem has to convey the style of its author, you know? Don't underestimate the hidden knowledge of the Knights of Favonius cavalry captain. Huh? I just caught sight of a suspicious figure. I must go and investigate. Traveler, I have another small task for you. The church has applied to us for a hunting license. Please take these official documents to the cathedral. Oh, I was about to finish this drink and go looking for you. But you've done the hard part for me. It is the Windbloom Festival after all. No one in Mondstadt who has the time and mora is going to miss out on a trip to the tavern. Traveler, will you have a drink? No pressure. It's not a requirement. Soaking up the festival atmosphere is the most important thing. Master Jean wanted me to pass along this message. You've been chosen as this year's Windbloom Star. Quite the honor. The Windbloom Star is one of Mondstadt's greatest honors, normally only bestowed upon those who have made enormous sacrifices for Mondstadt, or who have truly proven themselves over the Windbloom Festival period. I know you will receive it gracefully. Oh yes, and another thing. The Windbloom Star must attend the Windbloom ceremony together with the acting Grand Master. During the ceremony, you will represent the people of Mondstadt in making a Windbloom offering to the Animo Archon Barbados. Traveler, the Windbloom is always chosen by the Windbloom Star, so the flower offered to the Animo Archon for this year's celebrations is entirely up to you. And who is most directly responsible for creating the demand for an alcohol delivery service at this time of year in the first place? Why don't we ask the formidable Sister Rosaria? What do you think? I'd call it a misunderstanding. I caught sight of a suspicious figure hurtling by the Knights of Favonius headquarters. Fortunately, I discovered in good time that it was Miss Rosaria, and stayed my hand. My, such a formidable wit, too. But really, is there any here among us today who can't be said to possess a talent or two? Even the celebrated honorary knight has graced us with their presence tonight. Truly, a good day for a drink. Please collect the goods from Diluc. 3 bottles, as promised. They didn't come cheap. A toast, everyone, to a happy Windbloom Festival and the free people of Mondstadt. Cheers. I was going to say, isn't it about time the tavern menu had a few starters and mains? What's a drink without something on the side? Who would have thought that the acting Grand Master would ever step out of her office? Oh my, looks like I'll be quite busy in the near future. But there's no helping that. Huh, I had no idea we'd run into you here. An unexpected pleasure. So it was Dodo King that invited you to these islands. What a coincidence. I'll get to that, but first, I want to enjoy some more of this island sunshine. Master Diluc might actually get a tan. Storms and fog. We must have gotten lucky. When we arrived, there wasn't a patch of fog in sight. Now it feels like I'm on vacation. But as you know, a boat wouldn't have made it over. We had no choice but to use the same method of transport you did. Who knew that everyone's favorite bard had the power to summon dragons? I guess Dvalin must be a die-hard fan of classical ballads. You assume. The acting Grand Master's jokes have improved of late. Do we seem like fitting travel companions to you? There were actually 2 others that arrived with us on the island. They wandered off for various reasons. Let's just say that big egos aren't conducive to team cohesion. An incisive observation. Nothing ever gets past the honorary knight. The mighty librarian Lisa, of course. Not to worry. In some ways, she's stricter than either of us. Any evildoers in Mondstadt need to watch out for the next several days. Ah yes, that. I should start with how we ended up here. We arrived by dragon, but as soon as we entered the island's vicinity, something caught Razor's eye. He jumped straight off of the dragon's back and vanished into the ocean. We worried that he'd be in danger, so we also leapt off the dragon and glided onto this island. But as you can see, this is but a deserted land. Based on previous experience, I decided that it would be best to wait for contact, while D-Luke believed that Razor wouldn't return to find us. During our little dispute, Albedo quietly disappeared on us. Who knows? Perhaps we're fated to be doomed together. Right, Master D-Luke? Albedo is an alchemist, and skilled at his craft. If I could use those beautiful artificial flowers of his, it would be a simple affair to traverse these islands. Oh my, but your footsteps melted the water that I took such effort to freeze. Who made cryo and pyro so incompatible? If you had a geovision, I'd be long asleep on one of the other islands. But of course. I trust you enjoyed your stroll. How kind of you to maroon us on that neighboring island. On the way over, the four of us shared what we knew. A mysterious letter appeared outside each of our doors. Anyone else find it hard not to crack a smile when Master D-Luke says, "Dodo King"? My letter was similarly straightforward. Among the deserted islands, you will find a sunken pirate ship. Within lies great treasure and long-lost antique vases of incredible rarity. It would appear that someone came to learn of the circumstances surrounding the eye patch that my grandfather left me. You have to admire their strategy. The right bait for the right fish. Yes, it would appear that the grown-ups among us came here primarily to understand what was behind the curtain. He did, though he couldn't read it. A certain kind-hearted, cat-eared gentleman that he encountered on the way over was able to relay the contents to him. The content of Razor's letter was no more complex. The Red Bernie girl has gone to the islands. She needs help. Perhaps someone who was truly grateful. Only people that had benefited directly from the machine would leave a memorial like this. An unlikely coincidence, I would have thought. In any case, this is all speculation. If we want to get to the bottom of it, we'll need more evidence. And also, Southwesterly Isle? Now, which island would that be? You know, I had the exact same thought just now. My apologies, Acting Grandmaster. Honorary Knight, let's go and take a look. What could it be? We're by the ocean. This shape is a seashell, perhaps? If it's not a shell, then it's got to be... a fish scale. It would appear that these 3 installations are the keys to activating the energy shield. That's right. Is it time for a break already? Fantastic. I was just thinking about taking a stroll. Who knows? These are big islands. There are bound to be more than a few secrets hidden away. Captain Kaeya's on the case. Oh, you've arrived at a most opportune time, Honorary Knight. Klee just invited me to catch lizards with her. Care to join? Sure. Let's take advantage of the precious time left until lizard duty. Let me guess. You're thinking something along the lines of, Kaeya seized an opportunity to shirk his duties. Why do you think of me so? Of course I have a special reason for coming here. Generally speaking, I'm responsible for wrapping up various cases, but this particular incident is special. You see, not only is the Acting Grand Master here, but the former fiery cavalry captain as well. Naturally, I had to see it for myself. Also, it seems like I ought to appreciate the splendid scenery and enjoy every second of summer.
A lovely place, wouldn't you agree? When beholding a beautiful view, your expression should complement its beauty. Just listening to the waves and recalling old memories is also nice. I just thought of something. Wouldn't it be great if we could age in reverse? To be a child again and free yourself from the strife of the adult world. To be like Kaeya, unrestrained and free to do whatever you want. Do you not also yearn for such a thing? What's the matter? D-Luke's scowl still bothering you? He's had that expression on his face for years now. He internalizes a lot of his feelings. So I'm afraid his face is stuck like that. Just treat him like a big kid. In my opinion, it would be a good thing if people could stay young forever. What is that, you ask? Would I do such a thing? I wasn't jibing him. Whether they be adults or children, everyone on this island sure is a source of concern. No matter who the enemy is, as long as we're here, you don't have to be afraid. Huh? You can't be serious. It appears that mother and daughter are kindred spirits, both wild and free. So this was Alice's handiwork all along. The letter I received certainly makes a lot more sense now. She's quite a remarkable person. You must meet her if you get the opportunity. Even if she does bring her fair share of trouble with her, well, then again, I don't mind trouble when it's interesting. Huh? Did I ever guess what was going on, you ask? Not a chance. I'm much too naive. I was in the dark the whole time. Well, this is a surprise. I didn't expect to see you two behind the counter today. In that case, I'd like a death afternoon. Come now, I just wanted to see how she'd react. I admit I didn't expect to see you here today, Sister Rosaria. With so many demanding customers that frequent the tavern, I only thought I'd help the traveler gain some experience. Don't get me wrong, I was only trying to be helpful. If anything, you should be thanking me. Now, how about we start with something simple, like a moonlit alley, for instance? Oh, and make it a large, please. Please, take your time. Waiting in anticipation is half the fun. I presume you're referring to the church? Sounds to me like Mondstadt's just gained another black tea lover. That depends. If I point out a few flaws, will you make me another one? I'm just kidding. I'd never subject you to such treatment. Hey, how could you divulge so much about your dear old drinking buddy, Oh, are we gossiping about people who take themselves too seriously now? Speaking of which, I know someone who could easily place in the top 3 most serious people in Mondstadt. As to their level of seriousness, well, let me put it this way. They probably wouldn't even flinch if I said that to their face. Of course. Just off the top of my head, there's a running list for the most consistent drinkers, hardest workers, worst cooks, or even biggest hoarders of dark secrets. Why, of course. How about... best bartenders. You can say that again. Just looking at these two brings a smile to my face. Good bartenders create a nice atmosphere and get people in a good mood. You know, like a mascot. So I guess there's really no contest for the title of best bartenders. Nothing. Thanks for your hospitality. Until next time. Oh, Adeland, don't be such a stranger. The Knights of Favonius have received word of another sighting of the Dark Knight hero. Now, the witness wasn't able to see where the suspect was headed. However, I just have a gut feeling that he's in the Dawn Winery area. Now that you mention it, it makes sense. I almost can't believe it. I am the legendary Dark Knight hero. Seriously, shouldn't you at least ask me to stay for dinner as a courtesy? Then again, I do have a pile of admin work waiting for me today. In that case, please pass a message on to Diluc for me. Tell him that the hazard zone has been established. The public shouldn't notice anything, and the enemy is unlikely to detect it right away. Oh, but these are code words he grew up using. If he doesn't understand them, then perhaps it was a wasted childhood. Oh, by the way, is there anything new at the winery? While I'm here, I'd like to pick up some choice wine to take home. Diluc, you're a man who knows his own mind. So help me decide. Is it seabird hunting time or seashell collecting time? Come now, Diluc, be nice. Do you really want to stay here and do nothing at all? We might as well find a way to pass the time. I simply thought collecting seashells might be fun. It was last time, although we were much younger then. Well, hello there. If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon. What a rare pleasure. Don't worry. This isn't one of those occasions where you need to come to everyone's rescue. All that's happened is that the Knights of Favonius have just received a letter from the Grand Master. Acting Grand Master Jean will be convening a meeting in the main hall shortly to go through it. Oh, so interested in our Grand Master all of a sudden? Never knew you were such a gossip. The acting Grand Master is very gracious in her appraisal. Varka brought quite a bit of trouble to those around him on the road to becoming a legend. I'll have to tell you about it sometime. Anyway, since this has piqued your interest, why don't you join me at headquarters, and we'll see what the letter says. We do miss our honorary knight, after all. It's been quite a long time since your last visit. It looks like just about everyone's here. Don't get too carried away, all right? If I know the Grand Master, the fact that he has the time to be writing letters means it's probably nothing serious. It certainly won't be bad news. Oh, Mika, how have you not changed one bit after being on the front line this long? You were just asking me about the Storm Terror incident, weren't you? Well, allow me to introduce you to the legendary Honorary Knight. That is a pity, it really is, but don't take it the wrong way. The way he sees it, every pair of eyes in Mondstadt is focused squarely on you. Give it some time, and this will all sort itself out. Next time you see him, I'm sure you'll get along just fine. In fact, let me share a little secret with you. Try talking to him about exploring the wild. You'll win his trust in no time. Well, what do you think? Glad you tagged along this time? A little birdie told me that you'll be staying in Mondstadt for the Weinlesefest. Hope you enjoy yourselves. Oh, just in time. Lisa and I were just talking about Razor's situation. Where were we? Ah, yes, the barrel. All right, spare me the flattery, Lisa. We're all friends here, and I know you're only trying to help your student. But I haven't been back there in a long time. This could be quite difficult to accomplish in just a single trip. I suppose. All right, I'll head out right away. Splendid. I was just thinking about how nice it would be to have some company on my trip. Oh, I'm sorry. My mind was elsewhere. What was your question? Brr, so cold. Almost enough to make me feel unwelcome here, Master Diluc. Don't forget that this is my home, too. I'm fairly certain that taking a trip home during festival season is a universal custom, common to all the cultures of Teyvat. The point is one that you've already raised yourself. The Weinlesefest. To celebrate this long-awaited festival, the acting Grand Master has been coordinating with both the Church and the Adventurers Guild to host a series of events. Unfortunately, given the financial situation of the Knights of Favonius, well, I'm sure you can imagine. Hey, no need to be so cruel. Even I'm not going to take that. Everyone's just doing the best they can for Mondstadt. Now, I can't remember the last time I tasted Don Winery's Weinlesefest special. And I'm sure the Mondstadt populace would echo this sentiment. Are you going to deny others the opportunity to drink to their heart's content just because you don't like to drink yourself? Anyway, speaking of the Knights, everyone dearly hopes that you'll rejoin our ranks again one day. Then we'll be one big happy family again. If we were able to enjoy the sterling reputation of Master Diluc, I'm sure people would be queuing for our charity booth all the way to Falcon Coast. That would be an absurd request, even for me. The words, "with compliments from the Dawn Winery," ought never be preceded by, "to the cavalry captain." Is that not the unwritten rule? I really can't thank you enough. Poor Razor. He grew up so fast, and he's still looking for his father. Master Diluc, we really ought to lend him a hand. Wonderful. Always eager to help, and never forgets to return a favor. That's the Master Diluc I know. How time flies. I'll be on my way then. I couldn't possibly, Adeland. I wouldn't want to trouble you. Oh, Diluc, you... All right, then. I'll take you up on the offer. Adeland, one more set of cutlery, please, if you'd be so kind. Oh? Then I may have to tag along on the traveler's adventures more often in the future. All right, now that our task is complete and our bellies are full, it's time for me to get back to work. I'll have something I haven't tried yet, boss. Oh? Well then, just the bill, please. It's just as well, I suppose. I do have other matters to attend to. Hey, Paimon, traveler. Looks like the gods smile upon me after all. And come now, I wouldn't joke about wanting to see my good friends. Not at all. The acting Grand Master positively terrifies me. Why would I ever do anything that might displease her? The truth is, I'm in Sumeru to learn about the alcohol industry here. So despite how it might look, I'm actually at Jafar Tavern for strictly business purposes. Sumeru's spices are famous the world over, and it's long been rumored that this fine establishment was where a certain very popular spiced cocktail was invented. That's why the Knights sent me, their foremost expert in alcoholic beverages, to come and see if it is as good as the rumors say. So far, so good. I'm already in talks with some spice merchants in Port Ormos about some potential collaboration. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Whether this lucrative opportunity gets passed along to Dawn Winery or not depends on how nice I'm feeling. Oh? What makes you say that? Very sharp of you. I wouldn't say I'm familiar, though. I just came here on the sly once, when I was very young. Do I have to? When I said we could talk about the old times, digging up my past wasn't exactly what I had in mind. Well, all right, since you're so interested. Like I said, I was very young then. Dawn Winery had only just taken me in. I overheard my adoptive father talk about sending a team of merchants to Sumeru during a business meeting. I'm sure you'll agree that everyone's curious about their roots on some level. And my roots? They're in Conria, which is said to have been located deep underground, somewhere near Sumeru. And so I stowed myself away amidst the cargo, and silently joined the merchant delegation on their trip to Sumeru. But it wasn't long before the merchant delegation received news that I'd gone missing. Their leader promptly found me, and before I knew it, my adoptive father was dragging me back home by the ear. It was a short-lived adventure. Sorry I don't have a more thrilling story for you. Honestly, not much. The only reason I knew that Conria was near Sumeru is because I happened to read that in a book when I was young. My life had less and less to do with Conria as I grew up, and so I started caring less as well. I used to believe that I had inherited some sort of duty from my father. But then I began to wonder, maybe my father left me in the peaceful land of Mondstadt for no other reason than simply to keep me alive. As well as ensuring that I'd be safely cut off from certain things, the thought that I might be able to actually live a happy life there must have been the icing on the cake. This is obviously all speculation. Simply put, I'm afraid that I'm not particularly in the know on this topic. These days, my surname, Alberich, is probably the only link to Conria that I have left. Ah, you've decided to join us. I was wondering how long you planned on listening in. I believe I've seen you before in Mondstadt. Dainsleif, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my. That's quite a lot of baggage for a surname, isn't it? Though I must say, it does confirm an old suspicion of mine. I suppose that was why my father left me in Mondstadt after all. Well, perhaps what you told me just happens to answer some questions I carry in my memories. And in any case, I recognize your eyes. You're a pure-blood Conrian, aren't you? Hey, hold on now. This conversation has taken a rather sudden turn for the deadly serious. And I'm afraid that as someone from Mondstadt, I'm not accustomed to this sort of atmosphere. So what if I know my ancestry? Do I strike you as the type who would be bound by that kind of thing? Relax. I'll be just as delighted to hunt down the Abyss Order tomorrow as I have always been. Either way, looks like we're out of time. I've got a spice merchant to meet in a minute, so I'll leave the three of you to carry on the conversation without me. See you around. And Dainsleif, no need to listen in from the sidelines next time we meet. Let me buy you a drink. Oh, what a coincidence. I just finished my talks with the Sumeru merchant. Didn't expect to bump into you again. Shall we head back to the tavern for a drink? I'd like to chat with you about what happened during last year's Windbloom Festival. Now that was really... I see you have other things to do with your time. Busy as ever, All right then. Remember to come see me at the Angel's Share when next you're in Mondstadt. Safe travels. Well, if it isn't the Traveler and Paimon, what a rare surprise. Did you really come all this way just to watch Timmy and me in the final? Hey, come on now. That's no way to talk to a friend. Naturally, I wouldn't have considered entering the competition were I not already on top of my work. Enjoying a drink while playing a few rounds of cards. I can't think of a better way to relax outside of work, can you? Oh, just be sure not to tell Diona I said that. Stealing cards, you say? I'm afraid I haven't seen anything of that sort. Not while I've been playing, anyway. Why do you ask? Journalist from Fontaine. Oh, you mean the one from the Steambird. I do recall seeing a Steambird reporter listed in the Knights of Favonius visitor log. A card snatcher? How very interesting. But one question, Paimon. Are you sure that cards are really what this snatcher is after? Guess we'll have to leave it there. Let's continue this conversation another time. Thanks, Traveler. Don't worry. I will. Everyone's quite fired up. Whew. It's even making me a little nervous. I was beaten by the best. Timmy's a tough opponent. He had me on the back foot the entire time. It's all right. You don't need to comfort me. This must be the journalist from Fontaine you mentioned earlier. Charlotte, was it? Enchanté. I'm Kaeya, cavalry captain of the Knights of Favonius. I trust you're enjoying your time in Mondstadt? I'm glad you're liking it. Oh, by the way, I couldn't help but notice you all rushing towards the city's side gate earlier. Did you find something? I couldn't get it off my mind, even during the competition. I see. Well, while I'd love to accompany you all to Liyue Harbor, I'm afraid I still have my Knights of Favonius duties to attend to. In fact, our top priority right now is strengthening Mondstadt's defenses. Treasure hoarder activity has been increasingly rampant lately. Wonderful. Then I look forward to reading all about it. The poster's probably just an artist's impression to capture the general look and feel of the duo. Beyond that, I doubt it's very true to life. I approve. And to top it off, you could play a few rounds of Genius Invocation with everyone. Either they don't want to play the game, or they're unable to. But they must have their reasons. Maybe, if you get lucky. And based on my experience, the Traveler seems to have no shortage of that. You can always trust Paimon to know where life's priorities lie. If it's food you're after, I recommend taking a look at the nearby stalls. The tournament has brought quite a crowd, so there's a lot of fun to be had around the venue. Hey there. Something else you wanted to discuss? The game's really caught on lately. It's a part of everyday life now. Everywhere you go, you see people playing it. In fact, some people have even given up drinking in order to keep a clear head during the game. I'm sure Diona will be happy to hear that. Don't worry, everyone's just fine. I actually managed to convince Jean to join me for a game, but we only got part of the way through before she was called away. I ended up having to finish the match for the two of us. What can you do? Everyone has to put their work first. But, seeing how successful the tournament has turned out and how much fun everyone's had, I'm hoping that she at least has one less thing to worry about. Sure. We should have a game of Genius Invocation TCG when you get the chance. Look who it is. You've caught me completely off guard this time. But then again, it's always a pleasant surprise when you two show up. Maybe we should let the star of the story explain it in their own words. You couldn't understand? Then it must have been talking about how to avoid solitary confinement. Just saying, we don't want to let a teachable moment slip by. The Knights of Favonius could never agree to send Kaeya off to Sumeru on her own, but Kaeya is rather intent on taking Alice's friend up on this invitation. You see? So we were wondering, who can we send with her on the journey? Preferably someone who's a reliable hero and with a history of saving Mondstadt. See, I told you that she'd agree. In that case, we'll leave Kaeya in the trusty hands of the Traveler. Oh, so you noticed. Well then, I suppose I have no reason to refuse. Sounds very mysterious. I still think we should use it sparingly. After all, we don't know the exact location of where we'll be headed or what dangers we may encounter on the way. Here's what I suggest. Traveler, you're well connected. I'm sure you must have friends who are familiar with Sumeru. I say we start by teleporting to one of them. It'll give us a chance to test out the magic invite and also find ourselves a local guide. Couldn't have put it better myself, Paimon. So, do you have a particular contact in mind? All right, Gandharvaville it is. We should be on our way then, if you'll excuse us, Acting Grandmaster. Gandharvaville. Fascinating. One moment we're in Mondstadt, the next we're in Sumeru. Listen carefully, Kaeya. Those jumping mushrooms are called fungi. They may look cute, but if you get too close to one, it'll try to hit you with its cap. What a coincidence! I didn't expect to run into a fellow Favonian captain this far from Mondstadt. How's the vacation going? Great. Well, I'm sure there's a fascinating reason behind why you're all the way out here in Sumeru. Do share it with us. Oh, if this is true, then your cousin is quite a man of action. Traveling alone to Sumeru from Mondstadt is no mean feat. We have every confidence in your abilities, Kaeya. Our party grows bigger and stronger still. What say you to this, Captain Klee? Yes, the scenery is quite magnificent. Klee's right. We're in the right place. There's no doubt about that. We should have found something by now. Unless there's a problem with the magic invite. Interesting approach. Assuming we're right about this magic invite, that is to say, if it was sent from within the domain, the invite likely has some sort of connection to it. Remarkably effective. That's one trick I'll be keeping up my sleeve in the future. You should make a note of it too, Eula. Hey, don't run off and leave us all behind. Since we're in a bottle, has anyone heard the story of the magic bottle? Don't worry, Klee. I can tell you all about the story of the magic bottle. But if you keep running off on your own, you'll miss all the good parts. I have a feeling that this could be the core that sustains this entire bottle domain. In which case, the moment we touch it, this place will instantly revert to its original size, with all of us still inside. Of course not, Klee. I'm sure the real core of this domain is hidden away in a very safe place. Somewhere like... over there, for example. Oh dear. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not understanding a word of this. When you're walking around in Mondstadt City, sometimes a cat will show up on the side of the road. It'll walk ahead of you for a while, and if you're curious enough to follow it, you'll soon find yourself in front of a fine establishment called... Exactly. So let's see where this water droplet takes us. It could be interesting. Do we need to find a key of some sort, then? A two-dimensional space with objects of the same composition as the device nested inside. Hold on, I think Klee's onto something. Since the water droplet appears to be the key that activated the mechanism, we may be able to follow it inside simply by touching the device. The principle is no different than how we entered this bottle domain. Hey now, I only suggested that because I was confident that the traveler would be fine. Master Thief, huh? I did like playing pirates as a child, so I suppose this is an apt role for me. And I must admit, the master part is a nice touch. Klee, maybe you could think up an even better role for Miss Edea. Feeling nervous, Kaeya? Well, it's your first time as a guide, after all. Well, the easiest way to imitate someone is to start with their most common turns of phrase. There you go. With just a few simple words, you've captured your master's personality perfectly. Maybe not. Until you factor in that I only steal from the enemy. I think that's enough to make me one of the good guys, don't you? It just means we mustn't forget to do it. Don't worry, we can handle that. I'll be on my best behavior. Hey, how'd it go? Impressive. I doubt you'd find many other knights of such caliber even among the Knights of Favonius. Oh? And why is that? Really? Hey everyone, come and see what Klee made. So someone needs to go into the preprint and rescue the Hydroidolin, right? Well, if you ask me, you're clearly a sharp person, Ferdinand. Klee? All right, I think we've heard enough from you two. If you insist on bickering, then I'd suggest you go somewhere else. Otherwise, I'll just cool you two off myself. Now, come with me. I'd like to have a word with you. Back to the topic at hand. Weren't you about to go look for your brother Hado? You're right, but our relationship is much better than these guys. Klee hasn't realized it yet, but her innocent, childlike nature is very powerful. It can inspire and even help heal others. Sorry to bother our young mage, but there's something a master thief would like to report. Do you still remember our mission? We're supposed to be helping Adia look for the missing components. But don't worry, I've already got one. I didn't have to go that far. In fact, the component we were searching for was actually that orange rope. If anything, you could say it came right into our hands at the right time. Let's head back and give it to Adia. Seems she had a little too much fun and now she's about to crash. I think it's time for a rest. Then we'll see you later. Ah, yes. All right. Where did I leave off? Right. As the genie opened its wide, menacing mouth, the shepherd boy suddenly had an idea. I'm sure that's what he would have done if he had a Jumpy Dumpty. But the shepherd boy didn't have anything like that. He said to the genie, "Wait, how could your massive body fit inside such a small bottle? I won't ever believe it unless I see it with my own eyes." The genie became angry and said, "Mwahaha! Foolish boy, you dare question my powers?" The genie then returned inside the bottle and the boy swiftly sealed it shut. No, but the genie was captured and sealed away in the bottle because it did many bad things. So the most important thing to remember is, if you do something bad and don't want to get locked up, then don't get caught. Ah, so you noticed. Very good. Was it the stars spinning in her dazed eyes that gave it away? Ah, no details slips by our general. You're all forgetting that the majority of his work involves writing scripts. I'll wager that he wants us to edit them. Let me see. Ah, that's sojourn. It means to stay for a while. This is a very cute moment, so let's make sure that comes through in the performance. It's okay, Klee. We can go through your lines together a few more times after this meeting's over. You're too kind. It's all in the script, really. It just rolls off the tongue. What can I say? Sounds good to me. People call me... Okay. They call me the Dagger Bandit, but no one sees that I rob the rich and give to the poor. Here in the dark, evildoers run rampant in the shadows, while the good, honest folk stumble blindly on, just trying to find a way through. Light, a brief flash, yet enough to illuminate the world. If I can find the source of that light, I can shine it into the darkness, and the people will suffer in blindness no longer. Looks like I have to go through the desert. This could get dangerous. I've come this far, and I'm not about to turn back now. How strange. I'm positive this is where the star landed. Young lady, do you know where the light has gone? Bottled flame? According to the story, those thickets should be gone from the stage now, right? Klee, quick, get in the light. Maybe they shouldn't. The desert is difficult and dangerous to navigate, but I was determined to make it, no matter what. All I wish for is light. Even though it doesn't burn as brilliantly as the light that shone before, this is still an extraordinary light. What will you do after I take the bottle? Well, then maybe you should come back with me. This outfit's more fashionable than I imagined. How is me changing outfits supposed to make the director's day? It's just a prototype costume. Is he that easy to please? Well, then I'm happy to oblige. Who am I to argue with the star of the show? How are you doing? Recovered? Sure, I think I can be a bandit for a little longer. What's making that shadow? Is it the rope? I feel like the rope should go from one part to another to connect them together. Really? I thought that with your special abilities, you could get it turning again right away. So our general was the first to notice. It seems like she's more perceptive than she lets on. I'm guessing that the human counterparts to these hydro alter egos are long gone. It's a truly extraordinary light. Well, imagine it was a sound instead of light. If the room is too big, you can't hear anything from outside the door, can you? What's the matter, Klee? You don't plan on taking the shell back with you, Miss Sangonomiya? Why, thank you, young lady. And might I add that you're looking quite lovely today. Jean, come on, take a seat and let's have a drink. I ordered one for you as well. Still worried about Klee? Relax, Albedo's with her. She'll be fine. Oh, look who it is. The Traveler and Paimon. You must be the pleasant surprise that Miss Alice told us about. The locals here have been talking non-stop about some brave heroes who saved the world. Let me guess. You two have been up to your old tricks. Still sounds mighty impressive to me. As ever, our honorary knight is making us proud wherever they roam. I wasn't sure what she meant by fairyland at first, but if my eyes are not deceiving me, she was being quite literal. We could hardly say no to such a considerate offer, so I took it upon myself to bring Jean to the nearest tavern we could find. Well, we are on vacation. It's only fair that we get to indulge ourselves a little. The house special, of course. Best way to get a taste of the local culture. Why are you making that face, Paimon? Something tells me I need to tread carefully here. Let's see, it's got a lovely color, but how about the taste? All right, Paimon, well played. Oh, by the way, we weren't the only ones who got invited here. I saw Kaeya earlier. She didn't see me, though. She was making a beeline for that big tree. All right, well, give her my regards. So the magic tonic here is just writing ink? What a weird and wonderful world. Ah, Miss Citrus, do you happen to serve any beverages here that don't contain magic tonic? Sunsetia. Jean, you want in? Traveling alone is so boring. I wish I had a buddy here to liven things up. Hey, little birdie, don't feel down. Come and perch on my shoulder. Don't be shy. I'll show you around town. Really? No wonder they never pay attention to me. Forget it. I probably shouldn't be anthropomorphizing them anyway. Haven't seen you in some time. To which one of the Animo Archon's winds do I owe the honor? Oh, is this your way of saying that you missed me? Since it wasn't meant to be with this little birdie, I'd better leave it alone. Let's take a walk, shall we? If you're wondering why I'm here, Jean's been worrying about trade safety recently. I discovered this when I unwittingly burst into her office to save the day. Another job involving long-distance travel falls to me. I suppose it's my own fault for having such a strong sense of duty. Still, on the bright side, business is now taken care of, and I have unused travel funds, so I was planning to... Outdoor theater. Looks fun. Yes. Here's what I was thinking about the unused funds. Given that the acting Grand Master saw fit to allocate these funds to my trip in the first place, I think it's my responsibility to make sure that every last mora is put to good use. In other words, what do you say we find a way to spend the remaining budget? Perhaps a fancy meal at a nice restaurant? Or a river cruise that takes in the sights of Sumeru City? Or we could buy a few nice mementos to take home. Hey, no need to put it like that. Let's keep walking. We can consider it some more on the road. The rules of the Knights of Favonius state that any and all expenditures during a business trip are counted as travel expenses. That's more than enough justification to live a little. Of course, with me being here on my own, it was looking like a wasted opportunity. But now that I've run into you, why don't we make this a joint trip? You're always so busy. It's high time you gave yourself a proper break. Even the sharpest blade loses its edge if it's always in use. Regular maintenance is essential for reliable performance. And anyway, life is short, so we should make the most of the time we have. Right now is the perfect time to relax and enjoy ourselves. And who knows how many other chances we'll get. So come on, what do you say? Now I remember why you're an honorary knight. Of course being tempted by money is beneath you. Your honest character is dazzling to behold. Like the sunlight reflecting off the surface of Cider Lake in the late fall, I hold my hands up. My thinking was mistaken. In that case, I guess today's end-of-trip blowout is cancelled. I shall pack my luggage and prepare to return to Mondstadt. Oh, you'd do that for me? Well, this wasn't what I'd originally planned, but it's a very welcome development. When I was souvenir shopping, I picked out something for you too. Guess my thoughtfulness wasn't in vain. Let's keep that a secret for now. Not because I want to keep you guessing. It's just that I didn't think I'd run into you here. All my gifts are back at the inn. I want you to find out for yourself when you open it. The surprise is what gift-giving is all about, is it not? Then it's settled. We'll leave together shortly.
Look, Mondstadt's windmills. Ah, such a comforting sight. Now, as promised, your souvenir. Here you go. According to the merchant I bought it from, mysterious spirits called jinn often live in lamps like this. And this lamp in particular once housed a very powerful genie. Merchants love to exaggerate to help make a sale, but it's still quite the pretty little lamp. I know you like rare things, so perhaps you can add this to your collection. Of course, you can also use it as an ordinary pot. Personally, I think it'd make an excellent wine vessel. You're welcome. I'm glad you like it. I'm ready to head into the city now. You're free to join me, or you can make your own schedule. I could give everyone their souvenirs first, but I'm not sure whether I'm in the mood for running around and visiting people right after the long journey. Maybe I'll take a breather first. But I know I'll only get bored sitting in my room alone. Ugh. Do you have any suggestions? Yes, I suppose. Okay, souvenir run it is. They're mostly people you know, so it'll be a chance for you to say hi to some people you haven't seen in a while. Let's start by going to the Knights of Favonius headquarters. Jean and Lisa will definitely be there, and with any luck, we might run into a few others too. Hey, you two busy? Just doing my duty. Anything to reduce the acting grandmaster's workload. Oh, I nearly forgot. I have some unused travel funds. I'll return the surplus now. Just doing the right thing. But I'm not actually here for a post-trip debrief. I brought some souvenirs back for everyone. Here, the letter opener is for Jean, the jeweled brooch is for Lisa, and the items in the box are for everyone else. It wasn't too bad. I didn't spend too much. As a matter of fact, the honorary knight and I traveled back from Sumeru together. Ah yes, and I brought some souvenirs for you and Klee. They form a set. Hold on, let me dig them out. Also been grounded? Sounds like things haven't been too dull for you all in my absence. No. On the contrary, what would be a surprise is if Klee ever managed to stay out of trouble for a substantial length of time. Sure, makes sense. Leave the surprise for the person who'll enjoy it the most. Thank you. Then we'll be going now. Don't worry, I'm nearly done with those. I'll be able to return them in a few days. I'm surprised Klee still hasn't escaped. I taught her a few tricks just before I left. Kids will always have their moments of mischief, but to be able to grow up without a worry or care in the world is something truly precious. Well, now that all the gifts for the Knights of Favonius are with Jean, next up is... Ooh, how about we visit the Dawn Winery under the pretext of delivering souvenirs and try to score some free wine? It's been a long time since I last saw everyone there. Plus, it'll be the perfect time to treat you to some of their newest brews. Diluc should be there tomorrow since he has business to deal with. But then there's nothing scheduled for the day after tomorrow, so perhaps it'll be easier to get free wine then. What do you think? When should we go? That works. Then I guess we'll see Diluc. Let's meet at the front entrance of the Dawn Winery tomorrow. You made it. Come on, let's go inside. Brace yourself for some sour grapes. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Oh, it's nothing particularly pressing. It's just that we recently returned from Sumeru, and given how long it's been since we last visited the winery, we thought we'd drop by and say hello. Oh, do you really mean that? Because my definition of comfortable happens to involve prodigious amounts of your finest wines. Speaking of which, I'm curious where you store the wine these days. Is it the same place as it always used to be? Plotting a raid? Why, you misunderstand me. The truth is, a rumor happened to reach my ears recently. My informants tell me that last month, the Dawn Winery spent a large sum of mora on 2 bottles of limited edition Northland Valberry liquor. However, it turns out that they were likely just cheap knockoffs masquerading as the real thing. Of course, a teetotaler like yourself would struggle to tell the difference. So why not get a connoisseur to help you appraise the quality? Ah, wait. But the sterling reputation of Dawn Winery is at stake. Why, if you really purchased bootleg liquor, that would be scandalous. Better to have unknown and insignificant alcohol aficionados do the taste test for you, to prevent word getting out. What? Really? I totally forgot. In that case, how about the principle of reciprocity? Here, this is for you. I bought it for you in Sumeru, and it cost a veritable mountain of mora. That's it? No comment whatsoever? What's wrong, Elzer? Are you okay? Many illnesses are caused by overwork. If you don't get enough rest, medicine alone won't solve the problem. Surely you should have long since handed over the work of the winery to Diluc by now. You can't keep being Diluc's butler. He's becoming a louse. Enjoy your vacation. Though, before you officially clock out, let me head out the door with you. We can grab a few bottles on the way. There's nothing quite like enjoying a quality wine while feeling the gentle breeze against your face. Ah, really? Oh, that's a shame. You asked Connor? Considerate as ever. Ah, Elzer, I also brought you a gift. Here, this belt buckle's for you. Glad you like it. Go on, enjoy your time off, and don't forget to see a doctor. Elzer is a good guy, and he's very responsible. But with 1,000 different things to worry about each day, that same sense of responsibility wears him down. Oh, very clear. And a full-bodied aroma. That's rather nice. No need. Sweet is just fine. Let's drink one together. Well, since it wasn't me harvesting the grapes, de-stemming, or crushing them, it's much more fitting that you should take the first taste. It isn't nearly as exciting as he makes it sound.
Your back will be in so much pain after picking grapes that you won't be able to stand up straight. Wait, so Diluc actually helps you with the winemaking? Oh? And just what is Diluc always so busy with? Connor, you're an awful liar. I hate to see you struggle. That was because the adults said children weren't allowed even a drop. Don't you remember how much trouble Diluc got in that time he snuck a drink? But on a serious note, having grown up at a winery, I spent my childhood watching Tunner plant the grape seeds, waiting for them to ripen on the vine, harvesting them together and waiting for the alcohol to ferment. Even though I couldn't help with making distilled spirits, watching everyone work was fascinating. How could anyone not love to drink with a childhood like that? So, let us raise a glass to wine itself, and in thanks to the gracious hospitality the winery has shown us today. Speaking of wine, Connor, I have a gift for you. It's a decanter set from Sumeru. How is Tunner holding up? I definitely owe him a visit. I haven't seen him in some time, and I do have fond memories of the days when he was teaching me to pick grapes. Busy day today, Tunner? No need. We were just drinking with Connor, and our stomachs are so full of wine that we couldn't eat a bite. Allow me to introduce the honorary knight of the Knights of Favonius. Harvesting grapes is hard work. Let me help you. Do you still remember how I used to help out when we were short-handed? Winery rules state that whoever picks the most grapes without damaging them gets to drink the first glass from the new batch. You're looking very happy, Tunner. Was the traveler telling you some jokes? Of course. Great, then it's settled. Let's meet the day after tomorrow at the front entrance of the Dawn Winery. You're more punctual than I expected. Let's head inside. Long time no see, Elzer. No need to be so formal. I just returned from Sumeru and dropped by to see you all. Never mind. The main thing is that you and Adeland are here. Oh, speaking of Adeland, where is she? Perfect. I brought some gifts for you both. Here, this belt buckle is for you. Well, what perfect timing. I was just wondering how this year's batch was coming along. Oh, I won't be needing an entire barrel. A couple of bottles will be more than sufficient. Else Diluc might say I came here to beg. Much obliged. Then I'll have a glass of dandelion wine and a glass of cider lake for her, if you please. Strictly speaking, that's not entirely true. Cider lake does have a tiny amount of alcohol in it. How have you been recently? Is the winery's business doing well? So you've had no time off lately? At least take half a day to see a doctor and make sure you're okay. If your condition worsens, Diluc will never forgive himself. If you're worried about having someone to handle the winery, why not leave it to me? I'm familiar enough with your responsibilities to cover for you for a while. All right. No need for that kind of talk. Come on, I'll see you out. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Rest easy, and go see the doctor. Such great weather today. A calm breeze and delicious wine. This is quite the treat. Though, it's a pity this batch seems a bit bland. How about I go to the wine locker and fetch one from the reserve collection? I remember it's on the second floor. Of course it's fine. I promised Elzer I'd help. I said nothing about leaving the wine alone. Oh, Adeland, surely you misheard. We were simply taking a walk around the house. We just returned from Sumeru. It's been a while, so I thought we might drop by and say hello. And perhaps enjoy a complimentary drink while we're here. Surely you wouldn't object, Adeland. Oh, Adeland, I also brought some gifts for you all. This bottle of essential oil is for you. If you rub it on your hands when it gets cold, your skin won't crack. Of course I remember. You always took such good care of me when I fell sick as a child. In comparison, this is nothing. True, I don't get sick as much. But speaking of being looked after, when I was in Sumeru, I did find myself and my stomach missing your cooking so terribly. Well, now that you mention it, I do actually feel a bit peckish. Oh, yes. A nice steak would really hit the spot. Yes, just like you always used to make. Thank you kindly, Adeland. The taste of home. Truly irreplaceable. Drinking fine wine, eating Adeland's steak. Ah, now this is what I call a vacation. Oh, what has Adeland been telling you? So she told the good stories. Well, shucks, now I'm embarrassed. Oh, we never imagined there would be such a magnificent feast. You've really outdone yourself. Why don't you sit and eat with us this time? I'm afraid that just won't do, Adeland. I'm serious. We get together so rarely. Can't you bend the house rules just this once? After all, I don't live here anymore, so I'm just a regular guest. You aren't going to refuse your honored guest this small request, are you? See, I do have a way with people, and now I have her here to back me up. No wonder Elzer felt so strongly about staying. He certainly wasn't kidding about how busy it is. Mr. Guangzhe, a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Why don't we go inside to discuss the details? No doubt the conversation will flow better with some of our wines to taste. Adeland, we'll continue our discussion later. Could you fetch some apple cider for the three of us? Just Kaeya is fine. I'm standing in today for Elzer, who usually manages the winery's business, and this is my good friend. I'm Master Crepus's adopted son, and Master Diluc's brother. However, as a serving captain with the Knights of Favonius, I am rarely at the winery. You may have misunderstood, Mr. Guangzhe. Though I am Master Diluc's brother, I don't actually live at Dawn Winery. I'm also a guest here today. I'm merely here receiving guests due to Elzer being temporarily indisposed. But please, don't worry. I will be sure to extend your invitation to Master Diluc. In addition to the apple cider, the winery has an extensive collection of reserve wines and liquors. I see you are also a connoisseur of fine wines, so it would be a shame not to sample some. Adeland, please fetch a bottle from the reserve collection in the second-floor wine locker. Please, it was a pleasure. Here's hoping we'll have a chance to share some more fine wines together in the future. I understand, Adeland. Oh, now this is a busy day. Who's at the door this time? Now that was fast. How are you feeling? Grounded? Ha, yes, Albedo was saying something about that. Sumeru was fun, but it can't compare with Mondstadt. So here we are. This is a fully qualified Knight of Favonius, Klee. See, Adeland, you don't need to worry about me. I have lots of people to care for me now. I'm honored to have such a caring friend. Let's go to the plaza in front of the cathedral. We can listen to the bards playing or feed the pigeons. After so long in Sumeru, I've begun to miss that slow-paced and relaxed atmosphere. There's no rush. We can take our time and stroll on over. Port Ormos is always lively, even late into the night. People there go to bed much later than I imagined. Quite a stark contrast with Mondstadt. People pray and play music in the cathedral plaza during the day, but come nighttime, the streets are deserted except for the knights on patrol. Good question. Life in Sumeru is never dull. Last time I was out drinking on the street at night, some passing mercenaries invited me to dance. Although, I did learn later that that kind of thing is highly unusual even there. They must have been in a very good mood that night. They taught me a lot of songs that they usually sing during feasts. It really was a fun night. But be that as it may, I think I'm more suited to the free and easy life in Mondstadt. Simple, honest folks like me, we don't need much to be content. Fair enough. Let's shelve that discussion for now. Have you ever had a chance to hear the cathedral choir before? The hymns they sing are a whole tradition in their own right, quite different from the folk songs that the bards play. Well, let's see if we can catch them today. Sister Grace is right there, so we can ask her about the choir's schedule. Excuse me, Sister Grace. Does the church choir have any performances coming up soon? Oh? What's the story there? Ah, yes, I heard about that. I believe the plan was ultimately to have different choirs who can take turns to perform hymn concerts. Me? Music is far from my forte. But if you need some help, then don't worry. I know an expert who's more than up to the task. I'm sure you've figured out who this expert is already. He has the best singing voice of any poet in Mondstadt and understands poetry better than any other singer. Plus, he's exceptionally easy to find. 9 out of 10 times, he's in the tavern. Good day. Drinking alone? I hope you don't mind us joining you. Patton, 1 moonlit alley and an apple cider. Ever the poet, Professor Venti. A beautiful toast from the bard with the most. Any new songs of yours we could listen to? There's a real dearth of quality entertainment at the moment, since the cathedral's choir performance has been delayed again. Speaking of which, I trust you've heard Sister Grace's choir perform before? So you'd say you enjoy listening to hymns. Passion and joy, huh? An intriguing perspective. By this logic, I suppose Lord Barbados would also enjoy the choir's performances. Think about it. It's only because of his patient guidance and protection that the people of Mondstadt can now sing such beautiful hymns in the cathedral. It must be quite satisfying for him to hear a joyful people lift up their voices in song. If Sister Grace was able to see things that way, perhaps she wouldn't feel so distressed. Well, to each their own, I say. But Sister Grace seems quite bothered by the whole thing. If only a kind soul with a deep understanding of poetry and music could help her. Patton? Another bottle of apple cider for Venti, please, Patton. My treat. Then this is probably the single most worthwhile alcohol purchase I've ever made. With your help, Sister Grace's problems are as good as solved. Sister Grace is a devout follower of the Animo Archon. Perhaps it's her depth of devotion that causes her to worry too much about the smallest things. Patton, the check, please. Hello, Sister Grace. How are the rehearsals going? Church choirs typically stick to traditional hymns. This is certainly an innovative idea. What's stopping you from considering it, Sister Grace? Is the Church of Favonius really such a stickler for tradition? Giving believers the chance to express themselves freely seems like it would be a very positive thing. So, Venti, do you think the Animo Archon would like to hear a new melody? Okay, well, let's see what our other friend thinks. Traveler, what are your thoughts? Another vote of confidence. Maybe there's hope for this idea yet. Looks like we're all in favor then, so let's start preparing. Sister Grace, could we trouble you to inform the choir members? Good idea. Let's split up and find some contributors, Traveler. Let me think. Since we're composing a song, we should try and recruit at least one person who understands music.
Aha, I know. Sister Grace, how would you feel about us asking Sister Barbara to provide her input? Perfect. Traveler, why don't you head into the cathedral and invite Sister Barbara to join us? I'll look for another friend who's interested in helping us. Ah, you're here. I don't think anything's off limits. I thought it was a fun idea anyway. I can guarantee he won't. I expect that Professor Venti might feel that topic is overdone and lacks originality, and that it may not be to Lord Barbados's liking. What are you doing here? Didn't want to participate in the discussions? I just wanted to take you to hear a performance, but that obviously didn't happen thanks to the problems with the choir rehearsals. The rehearsals are now back on track, so I've done my part. If I stay here any longer, I'll probably get roped into singing with them. I'd rather it didn't come to that. My songwriting abilities are limited. If doing nothing but loitering on the plaza enjoying the scenery all day is the only way to relax, then I suppose I didn't get to relax. But that would get boring after a while. To me, it's more fun to wander around, see what's happening, and insert myself into interesting situations. Besides, can you be so sure I didn't have something to gain from helping Sister Grace with her choir rehearsal dilemma these past few days? I still recall the teachings of Professor Venti. The Animo Archon cares not about how moving the people's songs of praise are, but rather whether or not the song comes from the heart. With so many true believers gathered together earnestly writing a song for him, I'm sure the Animo Archon is watching on and feels very satisfied. That's what a song of worship is all about. So, mission accomplished. Slipping away before the final verse is sung, before the poet has uttered the last line, before everything has concluded. I don't know. Something about it just resonates with me. Oh no, you've seen right through me. A boat that has come unmoored will not get lost in the night, but sail towards the dawn. A beautiful image. Well, after a fine poem like that, it would be plain rude of me not to rejoin you. Great, music to my ears. I'll cover the travel costs, of course. There's nothing more enjoyable than the company of a good friend. Let's call this a nice little excursion to round off my long business trip. Now, let me think where we should go. I've seen a lot of Sumeru already, so let's go for someplace new. How about Liyue? I'd be heading past there on my way back to Mondstadt anyway, so it's not out of the way. Well, lucky me. I'll hold you to that. Liyue's Ministry of Civil Affairs frequently corresponds with the Knights of Favonius, so the address on their letterhead is one of the few places I'm familiar with. I don't have much luggage, so it won't take me long to pack. Give me a moment, and then we'll head there together. I've heard that there's lots to see and do in Liyue, but I'm sure you're more familiar with the place than I am, so I'll leave the itinerary to you. Great. Maybe you can tell me about your previous travels here along the way. It's such a satisfying feeling to just drop everything, go on a long trip, and see something new. Who knows who we might cross paths with? We might even end up going on an impromptu adventure. Just like how I met you in Port Ormos, and now we're here. Come on, let's see what's up ahead. Do you know this shop? It looks pretty nice from the outside. Shall we take a look? Let me see. Ah, some nice jewelry you've got here. Maybe I can grab something with a local flavor as a souvenir. What do you think, traveler? See anything that suits my style? I trust your judgment. Oh, that's a pity. I'm just visiting and I won't be in town for very long. So as much as it pains me to do so, I'm afraid I'll have to leave this beautiful bijou behind. I think that's sound advice wherever you go into that. We appreciate it, boss. Uncut stones. Ah, yes, we were just briefed on that. Let's take a look at the pre-cut jade. Sounds perfectly reasonable. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much the vendor is charging. If the customer decides to hand over their money, they're taking the bait of their own free will. Amber-colored jade would probably make for a good souvenir. Why not? This is a quirky little place. Somehow, I'm inclined to entertain him for a bit. Well, if you're not interested, then I guess we'll pass. Oh, just taking a short trip with my friend. It's been a while. Anywhere you'd recommend I visit while I'm here? Your wife? Ah, yes. How is she doing these days? Keeping well? All right, see you. Ah, I finally remembered who that was. Captain Wu. He runs a transport business between Mondstadt and Liyue. An educated guess. Yes, you could put it like that. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. The captain was making a delivery to Mondstadt when his ship sprang a leak. He overexerted himself fixing it and keeping the cargo dry, and ended up passing out from exhaustion. I took him to Mondstadt to recover. Well, stubborn, I can believe. Someone had drilled a gaping hole in his ship, and the water was coming in fast. How he managed to make it all the way to Mondstadt, not to mention with his cargo intact, I have no idea. I am an upstanding member of the Knights of Favonius, after all. Just look me in the eyes. Don't you find me trustworthy? Huh. Sounds interesting enough. Let's check it out. So this is the Heyu tea house. Oh, seems like the tea house is the place to be in Liyue. Feels like I'm back in the angel share. Did you manage to get something for your daughter just now, Captain Wu? The treasure hoarders always move in groups, and fighting back when you're outnumbered isn't usually an option. It's no surprise that they quickly overpowered Captain Wu. I'm just glad that everyone made it out all right at the end. I'm sorry, Captain. I wasn't intending to share that story. He really didn't have to share all the details of that story, but since he didn't seem to mind, I wasn't about to stop him. I did actually forget at first, but once he brought up his daughter, the memory of his naked escapades came flooding back. D-Luke thought some pervert was harassing the maids. He charged straight out the door, great sword in hand and raring to go. I haven't seen him so angry in a long time. So many people owe me favors nowadays. It's hard to keep track of them all. I really should go check my favors ledger once I'm back and refresh my memory. Hey, you didn't think I was being serious, did you? Do I really strike you as the kind of person to keep track of favors in a notebook? I just helped the guy out on a couple of occasions because I happened to be in the right place at the right time. I have no intention of asking him to do anything for me in return. At least, not so far. Thank you. If I may, Captain Wu, there's a lot of Mora involved here. It seems like it would be worth asking this Dr. Baiju about his master, just to set the record straight. You could show him the medicine as well. Clearly there's some misunderstanding here. Hey, let him deal with this, okay? No point in you stressing yourself out too. Fraud or not, it's up to Captain Wu to figure out exactly who he's gotten himself involved with. I'm no Dark Knight hero, or martial arts hero for that matter, and neither are you. Wait, or are you? Now that I think about it, I can see you having a secret double life as a martial arts hero here in Liyue. You certainly have the personality for it. Either way, Liyue has its own rules and regulations. Best to let the Ministry of Civil Affairs deal with this in the proper manner. If a couple of outlanders like us get involved, we might just end up muddying the waters, even with the best of intentions. We came here to enjoy ourselves, remember? We don't want to get our priorities mixed up. Oh, and look at that. The storyteller's taking the stage. Is that all? Oh, I was hoping to hear the rest of the story. It was all right. I suppose the hero always has to sacrifice himself to save others, and it does make for some good storytelling, but it leaves you wondering how he really feels about the whole thing. Did he ever have second thoughts? Only he can know, I suppose. Hold on, let's not lose our cool. Get your story straight first, so you can give them a clear and detailed account of events in the order that they occurred. And one more thing, do you still have a way to contact this guy? Okay, so you've got another meeting lined up. It's obvious, isn't it? He needs to report the case to the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Come with me. I am quite curious. How does our chivalrous martial arts hero intend to come to Captain Wu's rescue here? There are countless victims of injustice in the world. We can't try to help each and every one of them, can we? Oh, I'm surprised. I didn't know you thought of me as someone who helps other people unconditionally. I'm genuinely flattered. But we both know that I'm not that kind of person, really. Your logic is very straightforward and quite endearing in its simplicity. But I like how you think, so I'll indulge your martial arts hero aspirations for now. Captain Wu, how would you feel about owing me one more favor? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, I found a way to recover your Mora that would leave the man who defrauded you feeling angry and frustrated, but give him no way to get back at you. If it could be done, and the only cost was owing me yet another favor, what would you say? The traveler here is adamant that you should ask me for another favor. Personally, I blame the storyteller. After the inspiring tale of Bravebeard, she's all gung-ho about playing hero and righting this injustice once and for all. All right. Now here's what I'm thinking. All right, then it's settled. Per our brave hero's plan, let's rendezvous at Yanshang Tea House tomorrow. Ah, you're here. Good. I'll head upstairs first, and you join me in a bit. You've got nothing to worry about. As long as this lucky coin's in my hands, it'll do as it's told. Before I toss the coin, I'll get our guy to bet heads or tails. Then it's your turn to bet. Now remember, if I touch my chin, you bet heads. If I touch my forehead, you go for tails. From the way you describe it, Liyue does sound like an attractive place to settle. Perhaps I might have to make the move here after all. All that awaits me back in Mondstadt is a horde of insufferable sycophants. Truly tedious. The reason I left home in the first place was because I was reluctant to simply live off of my inheritance. What are you doing? It's common courtesy to introduce yourself. Can't you see we got here first? They're running out of tables, huh? Looks like this location's getting too small for them. Very well, I'll make an exception for you this one time. Let's hope the tea, at least, won't disappoint me. Ugh, this tea is... never mind. Mr. Bai, this has been a most pleasant and insightful conversation. I consider it good fortune that I encountered such a refined gentleman as yourself so far from home. Please allow me to pay for the tea. You there. I'll get yours too. Oh, you can't tell? My family's lived in Mondstadt for generations. I got bored sitting around at home and decided to set off on a journey to expand my horizons. The sights of Liyue Harbor are rather spectacular. I've half a mind to buy a waterfront property here so I can come vacationing every year. That would be quite nice. If the family would spare me a little loose change, I could even invest in an antique shop or two so I have something to do during the day. And the point of life is to enjoy yourself. If something makes me happy, it's worth every mora. Flaunting? Come on, we're talking 20, 30 million tops, surely. Isn't that just pocket change? The name's Albert, surname Rich, but only the servants in the house address me as Mr. Rich. Now that we're so well acquainted, Mr. Bai, please just call me Albert. You flatter me. What say you to acting as my guide during my time in Liyue? I'll pay you handsomely, of course. Naturally, board and lodging would be included, and I could pay you in the region of 50,000 mora per day. You there, you're welcome to join us if you want. Which clan did you say you were with? The Hoo-Ha clan or something? Goo-Ha, huh? Strange choice of name. Gotta say, I've been in Liyue for a while now. This is the first I'm hearing of them. I guess they're one of these obscure ones who keep to themselves. Ha, fair enough. Still, weird name. Bet they have some even weirder practices. Seriously though, what kind of skills do you guys train anyway? It's all for show, right? I saw some people performing a few tricks down at the wharf. Is it that kind of thing? I already told the server to put it on my tab. Don't bother getting her to split the bill. It'll only complicate things. Are you trying to make a point by throwing my generosity back in my face? All right then. What if I say your bill is mine and don't let you pay? Did I hear that right? So you'll only pay for yourself if you win, but I'll get the check for the three of us if you lose. It's not that I care about the mora. After all, I offered to pay for everyone's drinks in the first place. No, what I find truly absurd is your refusal to play fair. I demand that you also pay for three if you win. Fine, you can have your apology if you win, but on one condition. We'll do the best of three, and the winner pays for the table. Why do you join us, Mr. Bai? Let's entertain this gal for a sec. We don't want her to think you're stingy. What are you trying to say, Mr. Bai? Whose side are you on here? And anyway, it's no big deal if you win. It's just a few cups of tea after all, so you can just take it from your fees as my guide. All right, now we're talking. Okay, now that we've agreed on the rules, how should we do this coin toss? After all, a mora coin looks the same on both sides. Well, that should be simple enough. Here, I'll take this coin and ask the counter to draw a line on one side. You two can wait for me. Just so we're clear, let's say the marked side is heads and the unmarked side is tails. Everyone has to pick a side before the coin toss. Oh, and no takebacks. We should also take turns tossing the coin. All right then, I'll start us off. Here we... Oh, wait, I nearly forgot to collect everyone's bets. Mr. Bai, heads or tails? Let me think. I'll also go with tails. What about you, heads or tails? I won as well. Guess there might be a formal apology in the cards after all. I have a suggestion. If one of us loses twice in a row, they should get knocked out while the other two carry on playing to decide the winner. Otherwise, with three of us playing, it'll start to get difficult to keep track of who's won the most times. I flipped the coin last time, so why don't you go next? I don't want you blaming my coin-tossing skills if you guess wrong this turn. Here. Oh? Anxious to take your turn, Mr. Bai? Very diligent of you indeed, Mr. Bai. Looks like I chose the right person to be my guide. Here, take it. What's your bet this time, Mr. Bai? Tails, huh? Well, you seem to have a feel for this, so I guess I'll match your bet again this round. Tails it is. And you? Well, here you go. What'll it be, Mr. Bai? That's what makes it fun, isn't it? Anyway, there's no need to stress. What's the cost of a few cups of tea compared to 50,000 I'll be paying you every day? Okay, and now it's my turn to guess. Not that the outcome matters either way to me. I won't even notice the mora's gone. Whatever, I'll take tails. Sure, why not? I'm having fun. I can go for as many rounds as you want. What a miserly person. Do as you please. The two of us can play. Ah, come on now. No need to walk on eggshells here. Let's keep it simple, shall we? If you guess right, I pick up the tab. But if you guess wrong, I'm afraid it's still on you. Well, here's the coin. You can toss first. I'll take heads. Wouldn't it defeat the whole purpose of betting if you guessed the same as me? This is a two-person game now. Surely one of us has to guess heads and the other tails. Look at you getting so giddy over some chump change. It's like you've never gambled with real money before, my old man. That's a real rush, I'm telling you. This is nothing by comparison. In fact, I'm starting to get a little bored. Sure, and let's up the stakes a little this time. Shall we say 50,000? What, 50,000? But that's just a single day's guide pay for you. Great, then I'll bet heads. No takebacks. Advance payment? Sorry, I'm afraid that's not my style. It'll have to be cash. Just 50,000? That's not what we agreed on. No, it wasn't. The amount was 1 million. I'm being perfectly serious. I know what I said, and what I said was 1 million mora. How pathetic. Gladly. He's making up completely spurious claims. We were betting mora over a few coin tosses, and now he wants to back out. In the land of contracts, of all places. He won 250,000 from me, then another 800,000 from the both of us. Now he's refusing to pay up the measly 50,000 that he lost in the final round. Oh, but I think you do. 2 investments, was it? One of them to the tune of exactly 1 million as it happens. Oh, and don't forget you still need to pay the tab. This was never your mora to begin with. We'll be returning it to its rightful owner now. What did you think, Captain Wu? Could you hear clearly from your corner on the second floor? Oh, look at that. He figured it out. Guess he's not as dumb as we thought. Ah, as I thought. When you're operating on someone else's turf, you run the risk of clashing with the master of the house. Thankfully, we considered that possibility before going ahead with our plan. Over to you, brave hero. You're the one with the connections in Liyue. It's your time to shine.
Well, Captain Wu, remember what I promised you? What do you think? Angry and frustrated enough for you? Well, I have an idea. We originally came here to do some sightseeing. Anywhere you'd recommend we go before the end of our trip? Sounds fun to me. Let's go. Well, this was certainly an eventful end to my trip. It wouldn't have been possible without you. Or my lucky coin, of course. Wouldn't be much of a lucky coin if it had. Besides, I already taught you how to become attuned to it. You still need some practice to master the technique, but luckily it decided to play nice and spare us any more complications. A better question to ask might be, what do I do to make this coin happy to work with me and show me whichever side I wish? My answer would be that I tell the coin a joke every time I toss it into the air. If it finds my joke funny, then it cooperates with me. Of course, this whole arrangement hinges on a pre-existing amount of trust between the two of us. I can't just get any strange coins to listen to me. Yeah, I was a little surprised when he unwittingly called out our trick coin, but it didn't matter. A good gambler always keeps their options open. You have to have a contingency plan for when the odds are against you. So when I went to the counter, I marked a regular coin as well as my trick one. That safely avoided any risk of him finding out about the trick coin. but it also meant that we wouldn't be able to control the result of that round. But hey, what does it matter? The fact that he made things a little more challenging only made it all the more exciting to watch him slowly but surely fall into our trap. Especially listening to him warn us about the possibility of a rigged coin right as we were scamming him. That was my favorite part. As long as I chose the same bet as him, and you bet the opposite to me, it was always going to end up with him paying. Unless, of course, he'd had some other tricks up his sleeve that we hadn't thought of. Then things would have gotten really interesting. Oh? You seem agitated. Are you worried about owing me yet another favor? There are two kinds of people who owe me favors. One is my friends, and the other my informants. My informants have to fulfill whatever requests I make of them, no questions asked. The question is, which kind of person do you want to be? Ah, and you're torn again. Too afraid to ask to be my friend, but also daunted by the dangers inherent in becoming my informant. Well, it's okay, because I just thought of a fun and easy way to get us out of this impasse. Let's do a coin toss. This is the regular coin I prepared for the contingency plan when I was borrowing a pen from the bar. Not the lucky one that does what I tell it to. If it's heads, we're friends. But if it's tails, you're at my beck and call. May the Lord of Geo decide. What do you think? What does your heart tell you? Actually, yes. I saw some guards do a musical performance when I was traveling with their caravan in Sumeru. They were desert dwellers. So are these actors. And I think I actually recognize one of them. Come on, let's go watch. Ah, it's the tale of Prince Kubad. Ever heard this one? Don't worry, I still remember the general plot. Let me fill you in on the background while the king deliberates. The main characters are the brilliant Prince Kubad and his war-hungry father, King Kabus. The one talking to the king right now is Gundafar, the prince's tutor. When the prince was young, the king was deceived by a malicious rumor that the prince had mistreated his stepmother. He demanded that the prince walk through a blazing fire to prove his innocence. Miraculously, the prince emerged unscathed, thus proving his innocence. But the seeds of doubt had already been sown in the king's mind. Now uneasy in the presence of his mistrustful father, the prince requested to be sent away to the battlefield where he would fight against Frasiev's army. That's the enemy general we heard them mention just now. This is the part where the prince has won the war and decided to forge a peace with the rival nation. He wrote a letter recommending peace to his father. Oh, it looks like the king's made up his mind. Let's keep watching. Brilliant acting, Darbil. Not at all, far from it. Actually, let me introduce you. This is Darbil, the actor for King Kabus. When we first got to know each other, he was still a guard for one of the merchant caravans. Seems like he's now made the switch to full-time acting. I could tell that you've had someone tighten up the lines. They turned out very nicely. Sure, why not? I don't have anything pressing lined up. And I don't think the Traveler does either. Tickets for 2, please. How much would that be? Bear with us a moment. We're just going to take a look at the menu. I was at Port Ormos discussing some business opportunities, and some crook was trying to pull a fast one on me. Darbil took pity on me and politely asked him to make himself scarce. He's a good guy. A decent storyteller, too. Quite an interesting character. There's a lot of fun to be had if you hang around interesting people doing interesting things. Especially if you're in the company of an interesting friend. That's my secret formula for staying in a good mood. Try it out sometime. You'll see what I mean. Thanks for waiting. We're ready to order now. We'll take you up on that tandoori roast chicken. And let's throw in some desserts, too. 1 each of the rose custard, that Tulumba, and the Patisara pudding, please. That should see us through the show. There are worse ways to pass the time than watching a little outdoor theater. Too bad I already know the story. Having the traveler here will help keep things interesting, though. And being close to where the action's happening is always exciting. We've got good seats, close to the stage, but also not too crowded. We can watch the show as we eat. If I remember correctly, the next scene should focus on the prince. But I won't spoil it for you. You have to experience it for yourself. I don't tend to judge a story's worth by my personal affinity for it. But if you want to know my opinion, I'd say it's a fine tale, with a classical flavor that makes it a story for the ages. History always repeats itself. When you keep this in mind and watch out for the echoes of past events in the present, things that appear unfathomable at first glance become much easier to comprehend. You could say that. It's always stayed with me because it's hammered home a cruel but realistic truth. People do not choose where and when to be born, yet the circumstances of their birth define the choices that they will have for the rest of their life. No need. I'll pay up front. Here. Keep the change. Call it a token of my gratitude for the excellent service. The food all smells wonderful, too, so please pass my compliments to the chef. Let's dig in, traveler. Ooh, that would be fun. I wouldn't say no. Darbil, would you lose any income if I were to mess this up? Don't worry about that. I like to be spontaneous now and then. Spice things up a little. Well, good thing that I've actually got a costume with me. It goes pretty well with your stage, too. Sure. If you can show me the way to your changing room. Gotta say, I think I actually look pretty dapper in this. It's a pity I don't have many opportunities to wear it in public. Uh-oh, not a fan of me as a prince? I'll have to act my heart out so you'll be too dazzled to make any digs. Only one way to find out. All right, I'm good to go. Frasyav, though you now lead only the husk of a once mighty army, I have no desire to crush your dignity. Even your most savage warriors have no desire to see further bloodshed, and none among your ranks have opposed these peace talks. Nevertheless, I must hear it from you one final time. General Frasyav, do you agree to sign a treaty in good faith and commit from this day forth to peace between our nations? We share the desire to lay down our arms for good and liberate our hearts from the dirge of hatred. Then as God above is our witness, by the authority vested in me by this intaglio of King Caboose, I hereby declare that I will spare your hostages and what remains of your army. May peace be restored to this land, and may these fields of war become a place where crops grow aplenty. My tutor, Gundafar, has already made haste to my father, the king, with the recommendation of a truce. It is my sincere hope that he will see that peace as a path to prosperity and grant me his blessing. One will find on a battlefield no master of ceremonies, nor the paper on which a treaty may be signed. In their absence, let us raise our weapons and swear an oath. I, Kubad, son of Caboose, hereby pledge protection to you and all of your kin. May the oceans be stained red with my blood if I am ever to renounce this oath. Nay, I am not so rash as to preempt my father's blessing. I promised only what I could so far, the safety of his kin. How can this be? You mean to say that my father has rejected our proposal for peace? Nay, the truce must stand. I cannot renounce my oath. How can man claim to stand above beast without remaining true to his word? The masses have grown weary of death and conflict in both our nation and theirs. Are we all now to bend to his will and massacre countless more to satisfy a desire that is his alone? When I departed my beloved home to fight in a foreign land, I did so to honor his wishes and for my duty to our people. Alas, is this fate's grand design? Is this fate's grand design? Must it be so? My dear audience, I ask you this. Do you believe in fate? If fate decreed that your life was to end in tragedy, what would you do? Oh? Then so must it be. Yes, so must it be. I shall discard this intaglio and rid myself of the shackles of fate. Fate means to send the machinations of war to every corner of the land, to fan the flames of conflict till they engulf the entire world. Fate would see my sword tainted with the blood of innocence, that the bright banner of my homeland might fly in every nation known to mankind. But I shall not bow to the will of fate. I am no pawn in heaven's plan. I, Kubad, will spend the rest of my days in a foreign land till I breathe my last in a place far from home. Gundafar, my dear mentor, you have always been like a father to me. It brings me only anguish to bid you farewell. But I must walk this path, or freedom dies by my hand. Goodbye, my tribe and kin. Farewell, sweet land of my birth. So must it be. Yes, so must it be. Why, certainly, ma'am. Feeling more like a fan now? Just an autograph? Well, you can get one of those at any time. Acting is quite fun. If there ever came a day when I left the Knights of Favonius, I think I might go into acting full-time. Thank you for the invite, sir, but I'm afraid I've reached the end of my time at Sumeru. I'm sure that my friends and family in Mondstadt must be missing me terribly. Sure, there's no rush. Okay, I think they're all gone. Let's slip away now while we can. I always like to extricate myself before things start getting tedious. All right, this should be far enough. Don't think they'll find me here. People were starting to expect a lot of things that I didn't sign up for. Besides, the missing actor is back now. Darbil shouldn't be needing me to stand in again. I don't mind socializing, but compared to chatting over food and drink, I much prefer just going wild on the stage. What about you? Did you enjoy the show? Oh? I was expecting a lengthier critique, but you've thrown the question right back at me. Sneaky. All right, I'll rise to your challenge. Let me think. All the world's a stage, and all the people merely players. Does that answer your question? Perhaps there's an inept god out there deciding everyone's fates, much like the academia student drafting Darbil's scripts. Yeah, inept is a good word for it. Honestly, it might even be a little too civil to describe a god who turns fathers against their sons and is bent on endless warmongering, don't you think? Anyway, that's exactly why actors need to wake up and realize they don't have to follow the script. There's nothing to stop them from following their gut and making it up as they go along. Oh, my dear traveler, please don't take me too literally. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. The god is just a figure of speech. The real point I'm making is about the actors. Everyone, you and I included, is both an actor and a member of the audience. If you don't like the script, just walk off the stage and join the audience. You always have a choice. A little too obtuse? Well, don't dwell on it. It's nothing worth losing sleep over. I was just thinking aloud. Relax. Be yourself. Do your thing. That's all I'm really trying to say. When I did my little bit of audience interaction back there, you had no time to prepare. You had to just say what you thought in the moment. I think those spontaneous thoughts are often the most authentic, and that's why I liked your answer. You're still holding on to the intaglio I threw you from the stage, right? Keep it. Think of it as a souvenir from my improvised performance. It's been the most fascinating day, hasn't it, little birdie?